Okay, this episode is about a little Forest Service campground called Vista Linda, right on Route 4 near Jemez Springs, New Mexico. A beautiful place. It's set inside of a canyon. Small campground, but there didn't seem to be very many people here all week. Now it's the weekend, they're filling up the sites. There are pit toilets and there's a place you can get fresh water, but all the sites are primitive, what I call primitive. No electric, no water hookups, and no dump station here. $10 a night, but the views and the scenery are just phenomenal. We got one canyon wall here, and the sun's just going down. I think it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I mean, you lose track of even time when you're in a beautiful place like this. And there's the other side of the canyon walls, which I would say they have to go up at least 600 to 800 feet in elevation. And what's really nice about this campground is it's right on the Jemez River, and some of the sites are right on the water, like my site. I got lucky. I got here during the week. This is August 2019, and I did get a water site, and I'm going to take you right down to the Jemez River in a minute. And this is another shot looking at the site over here. Really nice, well landscaped. My site actually has 2 picnic tables. I was kind of surprised with that. Okay, let's take a walk down. And I was just at Fenton Lake State Park, which is at the top of a mountain. Way above this canyon, you go up a mountainside to the Jemez Mountains, which are considered part of the Rocky Mountains that jut down from Colorado. It's the very end of the Rocky Mountains, actually. When I was up there, I did an episode on Fenton Lake about a week ago. And now I'm down here inside the canyon, much lower elevation. And I did some fishing down here last night, but this is August, as I said, and the water's in the, I would say it's close to the mid-70s, so the trout are not hitting. And well, that's my chair. I come down here at night and I just soak my feet in the Jemez River. And during the day, it's actually been in the 90s, so I've been actually sitting down in a deeper pool right there next to that rock face. Sitting down, cooling off during the day over there. Take a little dunk here and there. Still very shallow, but this area upside this little man-made dam here, it might be, 2 or 3 feet deep there. So yeah, at least you can dump under the water, so to speak, and cool off completely. And like I say, this creek does produce brown trout and rainbow. In the spring and the fall seasons would be the time, to fish for them. Otherwise, it's pretty shallow. Down here, it's only, it's less than a foot deep. And difficult to fly fish, which I do, and I also like use spinning gear. I'm not a bobber, bait and bobber fisherman. I don't like sitting down and hoping something hits the bait. But if you are a bait fisherman, worms are good. And here I'm seeing crayfish, and those are also a natural food source for the rainbows and the brown trout. So that would also be an option. If you didn't have bait with you, you come down here, move some rocks, get some crayfish or crawdads. They pronounce it different terms around the country. Up in New England it's crayfish, but here in New Mexico they call them crawdads. And it's a beautiful place. I mean, and serene. This is my campsite, and because it's a small campground, I mean, I might see one person all day long if I'm down here either fishing, or right now I'm just sitting down the creek, soaking my feet. Got these special neoprene booties with hard soles, so you can walk around in the rocks and they dry off real quick. You know, made out of wetsuit material. Well, these really work good, you know, when you're walking around the creeks and stuff. Because you can never tell if there's a piece of glass or anything, but, you know, it's also very rocky. But this is just one of the nicer places, if you can imagine, you know, $10 a night. And I'm sitting here, I'm having a drink right now. I don't know, it's around 7 o'clock at night. Listen to the beautiful sound of that water. Soaking my feet in the Jemez River. And I'll tell you, last night, I sat outside. I couldn't believe, this is very remote. There's just a few small towns. Route 4 goes along the campground here. But there's almost nobody living out here. The Pueblo people, there's the Jemez Pueblo, and a couple little, if you call them towns, you know, very few people driving up and down the main route here, Route 4. If you go up a little further, you're going to hit 126, which takes you to Fenton Lake, which I just came from. And I do have a map I'll show you, just to give you a better idea of this area. You're coming up from like Albuquerque, you would take 550 and then take Route 4 out here. Okay, here's the general map. Here's your 550, and then here's 4. I'm taking 4. Jemez Pueblo is an ancient site. Goes back, I think, about 600 years. I still haven't got over there, but I will take a video. And the Spanish were there from the earliest times to meet up with the Pueblo Indians, and you're going up. Okay, here's Vista Linda right here, just before you get to Jemez Springs up Route 4. The Soda Dam is pretty cool. The Jemez River actually goes through a rock formation that was caused during the volcanic period. And you have a place called Battleship Rock. It's an interesting place, but I think the Soda Dam place was pretty cool, because the river is actually going straight through solid rock and coming back down along Route 4, the Jemez River. And this map, it cuts it off, but you head up Route 4, and then here's 126. It comes in here at La Cueva. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. And you're heading up Route 4, and Route 4 continues down this way. But if you take a left there, you get on to 126, and that takes you to Fenton Lake. And Seven Springs fish hatcheries up here, and eventually that takes you all the way up to Cuba. So anyway, I thought you'd like to see this campground. If you're doing a stay at Fenton Lake, you better have a pretty, you know, if you're towing a vehicle or something, you know, an RV, you want to have a pretty good strong engine, because you're going up the Jemez mountain range, and it goes up and up and up for 3 miles. I have a 5.7 Hemi, and I'm only towing a 22-footer, and at times I couldn't do over maybe 25-30 miles an hour. So you're going up this mountain range, and then you come back down, and then it's all downhill, and you better have good brakes, because you're going down a few thousand feet for 3 miles to wind up at Fenton Lake State Park. That's if you go there. This place, it's all easy towing, all level ground, 550 to Route 4, no sweat. But if you go to Fenton Lake and you're towing a heavy rig, just make sure, you know, you got the horsepower, your brakes are good, and everything else. So I'm going to sit down here and have a rum and coke and enjoy the rest of the evening, soaking my feet here in the Jemez River. This is Eagle Eric signing off.